Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. We are the Tech Talk crew coming to you live on this 23rd of July, 2024. Just about, what time we got here? 3?
I've got a little after 3 my time.
3 your time, 4 Eastern, 3 Central, 4 Eastern.
Yeah, there you go. We're closing in on the end of the day.
There you go.
We're zeroing in on the end of the day. How's that?
We're creeping towards the end.
It's kind of hot, by the way. It's like, I think it's like in the 90s here. Let's talk about like our obligatory weather chat that we like people are always supposed to have in company and stuff.
It is spicy. It's supposed to be hotter this weekend, though.
You know what I don't understand, though, is that like if it's super hot, shouldn't you not wear like a black long sleeve shirt?
This is my Tech Talk shirt of the day because everything else is in the wash.
It makes you look like you're on double secret probation wearing that shirt.
You're on double secret probation.
When I wear black under my black shirt, I really feel like Johnny Cash the Man in Black.
You really feel like you're on double secret probation? Or did you say you're Johnny Cash?
Should I learn to play the guitar and write us a Tech Talk theme song? I think that is the question that we need to ask ourselves.
I think we should say yes, and the show's over. That's it.
All right, I'm going to learn how to play guitar.
What's like, all right, so we got to start thinking about like what the theme of the song is going to be. Is it going to be like a Johnny Cash, or like, okay, you're not going to...
I can't
magician never shares his secrets here.
Exactly. Same thing with myself.
All right. Well, let's talk about some secrets to share from this magician here.
First one.
This looks like a bull flag to me. This is CME Cheese on a weekly basis. So it's just the block and the barrel divided by 2. We'll see here in the future whether or not we're going to have a barrel as part of this calculation. Meantime, this sure looks like a bull flag to me. So a bull flag is basically you have a big bull move like this, and then you typically see some sort of very small retracement. And then if it holds true, what you would want to do is basically take this guy right here and lay it right on top.
So technically, you're taking the pole of the flag and putting it to the peak.
Correct. Correct. And like this, I guess the psychology behind it too is that like you had a big. I mean, it's a big move. This is 145 up to just over $2. And what I have circled here is the best that the bears could have done in response to this big rally, right? And so. The bulls have been kind of looking at this really is like, we're comfortable continuing to own this price after a significant change.
Yeah.
So, but really, I mean, you go back to just May 10th, 195. Today, 194. This is, I mean, not much change in terms of price action, but again, like you have this big move, and just this is the most that the bears can do in response to that price action. It's a bullish chart.
I'd agree. I mean, what do you have where do you get there? 242?
240 cheese. Roughly 240 cheese, which if I keep dragging this out.
I was just saying, is that going back to the highs?
Yep. That's basically takes it back to this former high that we have yet to retest.
Wow. Okay.
So obviously, I mean, there's some fundamental things that are shaping up that could potentially, warrant that, right? We just had milk production released today. Another dinger down, 1% total US, 1%. And they revised previous month down to
1%.
Yikes. There's just no milk.
Yeah. No milk.
None. Food's gone.
Yeah. I think that USDA report was a big surprise to everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this chart, again, if we're just looking at the technicals of it, this looks like a bull flag to me. So I guess where would you consider this a failure? I think if we really go and fill this gap, let me get rid of this guy real fast too. So filling this gap right here, I think would be a failure. Part of the discussion that we've been hearing too is that there's been there's healthy support in this market around $1.80.
Yeah,
futures have certainly shown us that they've been maintaining a healthy premium to that number, and anytime spot gets down around that price, we seem to bounce pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I think a failure here would be to go fill this gap.
Bull flag
feels like a bull flag, but keep an eye on these gaps. By the way, I know we're talking about a bullish move now, but these gaps, that's unfinished business. Right, especially this one.
Yeah,
like that's something to be mindful of. If we start to really break, I mean, you're talking about going to fill this thing back in like the mid to low 160s. So those become targets, assuming we break past. We go fill this gap, then it's poof down there. But I think in the meantime, before then, at least, bull flag. Let's get going.
Bull flag.
You had one you wanted to look at that we haven't looked at in a while.
Right, Dry Whey.
Weekly Dry Whey. What do you see here?
When I suggested it. If you go back to the week of February 16th, we are now at the highs that same week. Yep, exactly right there. The high of 53 cents.
Mm-hmm.
This week, so far, It's Tuesday, by the way. High at 53 cents.
This is looking pretty perky here. This is looking good.
It's looking pretty darn good right now.
Looking pretty darn good right now.
I'm just looking. I mean, we hate to be gap chasers, as some people would call us, right?
I hate to be gap chaser.
But if you go back into 2022, about the same time frame, February, March, there is a gap at about 77 cents.
Oh,
right?
What? Like how many people remember this gap? Very few. Not that
Very few.
There's no gap that escapes Cody though.
Had
You're
to
not
find
gonna. It's gonna get found.
We're gonna chase him.
That's interesting because this gap got filled recently. Not recently. That like all these other gaps have been filled except this bad boy right there.
Except for that one. So in my mind,
there.
I think you got to get up to obviously the next big, testing point would probably be 50 cents, right? Just kind of a nice round number in everybody's mind, but we also had a little bit of resistance there back in 2022 again. And I think once you get past that, then this gap comes into mind of saying, okay, is it time to go fill this gap at 77, 78 cents?
For sure. This looks like we're getting into wave 3 right now of like if you want to think about it like from an Elliott wave perspective, right? I mean, I think you can make the argument that this chart started to really go once you broke out from here, right? And so if you want to call this one wave 1, add this plus call it like another 20-ish%, takes you up to there, right? What's interesting about it too is that you fill this gap and then proceeded to keep going. So to your point, we seem to have cleared a pretty a pretty big number in this market, 52, 53 cents, assuming we settle here by the end of the week, right? Still a lot of time, but you've cleared that number, you filled this gap, we're continuing to go what looks like a pretty healthy breakout of a very long-term trend, right? To your point, this started back in, when is this? This started in, right around my birthday in 2022. This was like at the time when we had Jaskell on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it took all the way until, over 18 months for this thing to break through. More than that. So I appreciate you bringing this one up. This could get sneaky.
It's a sneaky one because everyone's looking at cheese, right? Everyone's looking at cheese. Everyone's looking at class 3. But as you've mentioned before on the show, every penny in whey is 6 cents in class 3.
6 cents. 6 cents in class 3.
We've got to put this into the equation also if we're going to talk about class 3.
Yeah, I mean, if we go trade, so 53, if we go up to that, let's go say we fill your gap. 70, let's just say 75 cents, 53 to 75. What is that? 75 minus 53 is 12 times 6 is 72 cents, 100 weight. Am I doing the math right? Yikes. Yeah. That's a lot.
Exactly.
So, this could get really dicey. This could get really interesting. And if I could just throw one in there too, we're not going to talk too long on it, but if whey starts to really go, watch out for non-fat.
That's right.
If I remember correctly, whey is approximately a third of the value back of the envelope math of non-fat. If whey starts to get really, gets bid and has a solid bid that takes us in the mid 50s, non-fat at 120, I see that. I see this chart playing out very similarly to what we just looked at in whey, right? Big downtrend, broke through it, and are now starting to trend higher.
Yeah.
Same thing. So one more weekly chart. I like the view of this chart. This comes off CMEGroup.com only because this is an actual weekly chart of September class 3 milk. All this is the open, high, low, close of each week for September class 3 milk. And then at the bottom, it pulls the volume. So, the red bars are, this is a lower week, right? So the volume is going to be red. So two things stick out to me about this chart, why I wanted to show it. First one was so this bar right here is this week. This bar, obviously last week. So last week's bar engulfed the previous week's bar, right? Just basically like completely punched in the nose, closed in well above the previous highs or previous close, and did it on a week where the volume right here was the most volume that this contract has seen in its lifetime on a weekly basis. So last week's volume in September was the most volume that it had seen in any given week. And it did it while basically clearing all of these, this open, this open, this open. This is a pretty strong formation. And then we always talk about it, like what does the next candle do, right? So you've got a strong engulfing candle on really good volume. The next week, this week, yesterday and today, if we were to close here just today at this price, or really anything basically 2080 or better, you're going to close September on a weekly basis into a new high.
On still really good volume.
On great volume. On really good volume. That is a great indicator. So shout out to CME Group. I love this view of this chart. It's a great way to look at it. And, if you're on there, you can actually kind of poke around too. Like, how do you want to view it on a monthly basis? Monthly is about to go retest the previous month's high. Also bullish.
Now the candles at the bottom, that is the volume for the whole month then, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
See, I think that's really cool to see. You can see the price movement and the amount of volume that's traded. That is something that is, I think, very beneficial to look at.
This chart reminds me a lot of what we just looked at in the cheese, where you have this big run, you have a bull flag, right? And then it starts to go again. This is shaping up like it wants to go to $22+ million. I
see what you're saying.
And you start talking about adding the whey component into it. That unto itself could add, just going to add a little bit more fuel to the fire. Let's say you get the what's going on with the bull flag and cheese. All things that are starting to point to us having a nice little pop-a-risky here in the latter part of the summer.
Pretty good bullish tech talk today, my friend.
Pretty bullish tech talk. All on weekly charts, by the way. How about that?
All on weekly.
All weeklies. All weekly, all week. We're here all week.
See, I don't even know what to ask you about this chart because there's nothing else above it that says, it's just bullish. We're going to leave it at that. All right. Well, I guess that's going to do it for us on Tech Talk.
That's all she wrote.
Fast and simple, everybody. It's how we like them. So, with that being said, I guess Andy and I are going to be back next week, Tuesday, looking at some more charts. If you have any that you want to see, please feel free to email us, give us a call, send us a text. We would love to see them, love to look at them. But until then, have a great week. Have a great weekend. It's supposed to be like 95 here. So everybody stay cool. Drink lots of water.
Cody's going to do some laundry.
Do some laundry, get my guitar out.
He's going to get his guitar out. He's going to do some laundry.
We'll get it all fixed. We'll be back next week. Even more charts. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.